Where's my Lash music? Lash. I'm pulling up Lash music so I can listen to it in the background while I'm doing commentary. And the Clash of Clans commercial, like I love using dragon strats on there, and it's just seeing the commercial with the electro dragon charging up, and when it's just a second away from firing, the air sweeper comes in and just blows it away. I get so upset every single time I see it. Oh my goodness. Give me my prime tactics, please. Thank you, Lash. Well, if you can't tell, I'm playing as Lash. Yeah, we're seeing Lash again, except this time I'm playing as Lash. And Mag is playing as Max. And here's the odd thing about Lash versus Max. Lash can actually brawl with Max and win. So, and this is a map that is heavy with cities. Like this is a very good map for Kindle, and Lash can make just as much use from it as well. Maybe not power-wise, but in terms of day-to-day combat, she can make just as much use of it as Kindle can. And don't sleep on, and like Lash, once she gets that comm tower, she does get that 20% firepower. Like that coveted 20% firepower, so long as she's on the planes. So she can do just as much as Max can on ground. So, and Max gets 20% firepower on all of his direct units, even his aerial units, and that's something that he has a thing over Lash on. What Lash can do, however, is get indirect units. However, when both of them are in a brawl, it's not often that Lash will have time to set up indirects. Because indirects, they take a lot of time. There's a reason why Grit has +1 range on his indirects. And it's because they take so much freaking time to actually set up properly. Infantry can sneak up on artillery. Heck, Sammy and Adder mechs can sneak up on artillery. Grit artillery? No. They can't. So this time we're playing on Celeste, and this game happened directly after the last one that you saw against Mag, where he was Lash and I was Jess. And he won another game. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain anything. So, but this time I'm just going to go for it because this one actually does take quite a bit. So, Celeste, it's your... I've covered this map before with Zombie and Von Bolt, I believe. It's a normal 3-base map with an airport on the side, with your weak side, and then your comm tower is also like somewhat in the middle, but not close enough to where it's going to be contested normally. And Mag, well, I'm going too fast here. Mag already opened up with Recon, and Max Recon's very good choice. Very, very good choice. There's not exactly much I can do about that. My only response is a tank. And I do get a tank. And normally, this tank wouldn't be able to cover this infantry. It's 7 spaces away. But considering that this property is up against wall, and right here is movement, the 6th movement for a tank, it is actually covering the infantry. A little bit of a technicality to it, but I'll still take it. And he does not go for it, which is good. This is what I said before when the clear difference between 800 and 900 level players. They understand when it's not a good engagement. Like, that is how they get up to 900. And then polishing skills, that's what gets them up even higher. Yeah, so Lash, she can brawl with Max, but it's not often. It just depends on where they brawl at. If it's heavily terrain, Lash is going to win. If it's slightly terrain, like little to none, Max will typically win. But if it's just right, both of them will come out even. And here's the thing about Lash versus Max. It's the exact same as Lash versus Jess. Lash is a defensive CO, whereas Max is not. He is the epitome of aggressive CO. And I do believe I made a slight mistake, because he is able to trap this infantry, or tank if he wanted to. Yeah, I think he does exactly that. No, he doesn't. Okay. He does, however, leave this infantry wide open, though. Never mind, he got a tank. And Mag is being really annoying with this infantry. He is smartly keeping his recon like within range of his tank. So if I wanted to take a chunk of damage off of that recon, I have to deal with a tank next turn. Like a tank firing upon me. If Lash is going to win like these engagements, she has to be the first one to strike. And once again, like from the last game, I know it was to kill like an infantry here, but don't park your units right next to a mountaintop, because Lash loves mountains. That's 4 terrain stars. She's going to fire upon you at that point. And I could have put this on City. In hindsight, I probably should have. My mindset was, hey, he's got a tank here. He's not going to... If he goes on the City, I'm going to be able to knock it out. Because planes will give 10%, and I get 10% from Comp Tower, that's your 20%. That tank is dead if it goes down there. Or really does anything over here. Like the moment it steps out of that city, it's dead. And dead tank. But he is ahead of me now. And here's the thing with Lash. Here's another thing with Lash versus Max. Lash won't use her terrain tactics. Max will use Max Force. So Max will get his powers a lot quicker than Lash will get her super. And because of that, Max will easily pull ahead. And this was a bit of a blunder on my end. I should have used this tank first and then pulled this one back over here. So that was a blunder on my end. I think I realized that a little bit later, but oh well. There's not anything else I can do except for keep reinforcing this side. And because my anti-air is away from this airport, and yeah, this is exactly what I just said. Max Force gets to come out so much more quicker than Prime Tactics. Like this is like in day-to-day brawling, Lash is capable of coming out on top of Max, but in terms of powers, Max is going to pull through. Especially when Max gets that +1 movement. That is ultimately what destroys Lash, is that movement. It's like, how am I going to deal with this? Like, Lash doesn't get movement capabilities. Max does. Max gets to trounce all over Lash. However, that doesn't mean that Lash doesn't have a few answers. Also, he did break this chain. Over here, this chain was good enough. To the point where it would have been fine if he kept going with tanks. It didn't merit a medium tank just yet. Now, keeping his lead, because if you look over here, he has a solid lead against me. To keeping the lead, yes. To keeping it going, no. Like, I would have bought another tank here and just kept the tank chains going. Because he will steadily win this. Because I have to take 2 tanks, and that first tank is going to take damage back. And finally get rid of that frickin' recon. God. Ugh. I hate that recon. It's funny, he messaged me because we were talking in the middle of it, and he was like, that recon hit felt personal. I'm looking back at it, and it's like, you're right, that was personal. That recon, that was such a good recon. I typically don't see recons being used that well. Like, down in the area, the levels that I'm at, that recon did so good. However, something that I've been neglecting to talk about, he is going very deep into my territory. This is where I'm the strongest within my area. And yeah, I can't do anything with that about that battlecopter, because he's always going to be able to keep it out of range. But I can deal with other stuff. And it might not look very good right now, because he's capping my cities, but I have prime tactics. And then battlecopter. This battlecopter is the thing that shuts like the tank chain down, and that was good that he bought that. Like, incredibly good. However, he is within my domain. I have 16 units. He has double the troop cost I have, like troop value that I have. I'm still going to use prime tactics. Infantry on mountain, 3 HP. City has been defended. And this city has also been defended, so I don't have to worry about him capturing any more of my cities. However, 80% firepower just from this mountain. Like, look at this. 99%. And yes, this is with the 1 comm tower. Without the comm tower, it still has a chance to one-hit kill. Never underestimate prime tactics. And then look at that. 70% firepower against Max Tank. Gone. Destroyed. And 40%, right? And like I said, on planes, my units are combi level. He's not gonna want to touch my units. Though because he's Max, he can. And if he wants to strike at my tanks, he's going to deal with a medium tank next turn. Like, there's no way for him to get around it. Not even with Max Blast. Or Max Force. Max Blast, he can get around it. But he's going to be dealing with a tank boosted by Force. No matter what, this medium tank is going to be able to hit this pretty freaking harshly. And like I said, anti-air is great for picking off tanks. Little drunk tank. Yeah, so suddenly it went from 20 units to 21 units, and this was the thing that evened the game up. Just look at this. Like, he lost like a quarter of his army right then and there. Like, that was such a good prime tactics. And yes, it was fueled because he came into my area. I will fully admit that. He overextended way too freaking much, and he paid for it dearly. But he is Max, and he bought a Neotank. Because he is still winning. I might have had a really good prime tactics, but he is still winning. I do have a response over here with my medium tank, but one wrong move and he wins on this front. I don't have an answer to his Neotank. And right here was a blunder on my part. Actually, no. No, I couldn't have attacked that tank. Never mind. Could I have? No, it was too far. It's too far. Never mind. Yeah, so I needed an anti-air over here to deal with that battlecopter. This was a really, really good time to buy that Neotank. Because he's forcing me to have a response for this. Because Max's battlecopters, I think, are more dangerous than Max's Neotanks. Because a medium tank can deal with a Neotank if it gets the first hit. Or Lash with prime tactics, just sit on the freaking city. And when Max goes in to hit, it's going to hit back harder. So there is that. But either way, this was a really good time to get that Neotank. Like, incredibly well. And he is pulling ahead. And at this point, he understands that he can just sit back and keep getting more and more value. Like, the most I can do right now is group up my forces to a point where this Neotank can actually somewhat cover most of the stuff that Neotank can hit. and he buys a second one. He's got the funds for it. He can do this. I can't. I don't have much of a choice except to keep brawling a bit. And he's already going for my airport. Meanwhile, I'm nowhere close to his. He took the city that I had in the beginning of the game. He is soundly beating me. And the most I can do as a response to a second Neo tank right now is another medium tank. And then force the base skip to get that medium tank as well. So we might be tied on troops. We might be tied on troops, unit value. We're tied on that. But he is in such a better position than me. And there's nothing I can do about it. He has a force down here that is ready to take these properties at a moment's notice. All of my troops are over here, like bunched up in a depth line. Not even a depth ball, just a depth line. And he's picking off my troops one by one in a third Neo tank. At this point, I know it's over. I played far too passive in the beginning. All because I had my attention on that one recon. And Max Blast. This Neo tank can immediately charge right in, and this Neo tank can just sit on the city and fire on. Oh, I would prefer to sit on the city. Always go for defense, even if it's a one-hit kill. Always go for defense. But yeah, there's nothing more I can do. And he's built a bomber. And he's taken my airport as well. He waited on the bomber until he knew for sure I could not respond with a fighter. That was good. And I'm knocking out some of his troops, but they're all just infantry. They're not going. That's not going to do much. And he built another bomber down here. The game's over. At this point, I'm mainly just going around, seeing what all he's going to do. I want to see what he does with this force up here. And it was to bring the two bombers and get a fourth Neo tank. At this point, I'm just having fun. I'm playing as Lash. I can't just roll over. So, okay. So, real quick, using the 6 HP bomber to take out my tank, that one was good. Yeah, so this one was good. I would have used this bomber to take out the Neo tank. Because that would have been a potential guaranteed kill. So, this bomber needs to go right here. And since you have max force, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if it's at 1 HP, this tank can come in and finish it off. Meanwhile, this Neo tank comes in and kills off the medium tank. Because I'm pretty sure that Neo tank can and will... Oh no, it can't. Oh. Well, never mind then. Still though, I still would have used the... Well, hang on. Because there is that tank. Let's do a little bit of math here. So, let's give the benefit of the doubt and say that this will go down to 2. So 85 and 15. So he had the potential to destroy that medium tank with the Neo tank and the tank. If the Neo tank went over here and then the regular tank went right here, he did have the potential to knock it out. Always try to prioritize your bombers for the heavy hitting ground units. So if there's a choice between the Neo tank and the medium tank, go for the Neo tank. Even though this is like on your base, you still won the match. Like, I'm not going to be able to do anything against 2 bombers or 4 Neo tanks when the best I can do is just one medium tank. Yeah, and then I finally I had a little bit too much fun. I even fucked terrain tactics. That's funny. That was cute. So, compared to the first game, where Mag was playing as Lash, Mag did so much better in this one compared to the other 2. And I'm not going to talk it up and say, hey, he's playing as Max. He's playing as a tier above me. I played against him as Andy. So, don't say that. And yes, I have won. Because the very first game that we have played, I played as Andy, and he played as Max, and it was a 2-base map. He kept charging his units in, and he even admitted it at first, like after the game. I thought since I was Max and you were a tier below, I could just charge my units in. I was wrong. And then the last game happened, and that was our second game. And again, he kept charging his units in. And I was able to punish that heavily as Jets. Even though he was Lash. He never got a chance to use Prime Tactics. This game, he did that in the beginning, and the first Prime Tactics hit him hard. He was 30,000 and had a troop lead over me. And I managed to even that out and pull ahead that same turn. He learned from that mistake. And that's something that not a lot of people will be able to realize in the middle of a match. That is what separates 800 from 900. That's what separates 900 and 1000 as well. Being able to realize, okay, I need to change up my strategy. Being able to do that, that is something that gatekeeps 900 and 1000 level players. It's changing the strategy right then and there. And he's able to do that. This match proved it. So, while there were tiny things, that's all there was. It was just tiny things. There was nothing, like, there was nothing wrong with, like, his side. If anything, there was a lot wrong with my side, because I played too passively as Lash. And when a defensive CO plays too passively, the aggressive CO can come in and wipe them off the map at that rate. Just don't overextend. Because if you do, then that player that you overextended against will punish you heavily. And it would take a lot to get back into the game, if it's that bad. You're not sold out. Thank you. Bang, bang. After that first Prime Tactics, Mag played beautifully. He's able to keep out of our reach and simultaneously be a threat at the same time. He learned from that mistake, and he knew that if he kept doing that, he would have lost the game. So, and good on him for, like, realizing that mid-match. Especially when we were playing the semi-live as well. That was good.